the speakers. It is just the two of us on the stage. The other two speakers are not able to make it this evening. But again, we will not allow that to hamper our discussion this evening, I'm sorry, because this is a topic that is very interesting. So as you can see on the screen, we are going to discuss. Okay, let this session be an interactive session, because it is only myself and Dato' Musa here on the stage. So I would like this session to be an interactive session.
The thing really, like what you're saying, is that it must be interactive. So we would like for the audience to ask us question. If we can answer, otherwise kita buat jawapan bertulis. Anyway, I'm from the Malaysian Tourism Promotion Board, or the acronym as Tourism Malaysia. We've been around for quite some time. If we move ahead, it's since 1959, and in 1972 we known as TDC. We were known as TDC, Tourism Development Corporation. But in 1992, all the function of development and policy and legislation, we pass it to the ministry, and Tourism Malaysia turned into Malaysian Tourism Promotion Board, or Tourism Malaysia, until today. So our role is basically selling Malaysia abroad. What we do is that, for example, we are exporting our product without bringing it out, taking it out. Matrade will export the product, physical product, out of the country. We are exporting our product, but the product remain in Malaysia. Meaning all those tourism products here, people coming in, that's also part of the export. And as you can see, as of last year, we received more than 28 million of 27.5, if I'm not mistaken, number of international tourists into Malaysia, generating about 82 billion ringgit. And in terms of export market, tourism, one of the growth that making everything in Malaysia moving. One of the main thrust or pillars within the economy.
Okay, thank you, Dato', for that short and brief introduction. And just a short introduction about myself. I am Azrul Anas bin Muhammad Ani. I am from the Islamic Tourism Center, Ministry of Tourism and Culture, Malaysia. So, audience, yeah. So, Dato', if you see that, if you look at the Quran, a lot has been said about traveling. So, one of the most prominent surah in Quran, it is from Surah Al-Ankabut, ayat 20. So, I think for Muslims, traveling is not something that is we can consider something that is new, but it is being propagated in Quran and by Allah Himself, saying that Allah, the terminology that is being used now. Thank you.
Okay, I think before that, I just throw in a bit on the of all the the things, the creations made. This is where then now you heard the term sustainable on the religious tourism. Previously, actually, basically, when we talk about religious tourism, people will associate that with more on faith, the religion that you are, you are having, and this is where then it started off like that. But actually, the definition getting, I think, wide to know about other religions. For example, as a Muslim, it is not a problem for us going to Vatican to understand what Catholic is all about. If you're going to, for example, the back of Notre Dame. I was there for 5 years. So Notre Dame is the place that you will visit as a tourism. It's not only for Muslim, for any.
Is something that relates to the faith, but the term Islamic tourism is of a recent kind of terminology or term that is being coined by in the industry. So, okay, Dato', if you look at the current state of the Islamic tourism now, so do you seeing that tourism and the Islamic tourism, do you see that there is a synergy between these two? How do destination needs to cater for, and what does that a destination needs to
as a whole? I can share here in terms of travel when it comes to the Muslim market. How much does global Muslim market spend on travel? But I have to quote this is a study from amaniadvisors.com. All the data here. In 2016, how much does on travel? The Muslim market spent 283 billion about 14% of a global expenditure. So, and then you look into that's global billion US dollar, and even to America, 153 billion. You look at the whole Muslim market traveling is 169. So these are, it is depends on the situation and the criteria of the content of the market itself. So the thing is that currently we are number one. Are we ready for it? You know, because if you look at other market, we might go into the Muslim parts only. I hope that will answer your questions.
So okay, there are two questions. I mean, we have you have listened to the response from Dato'. There are two questions that I personally asked Dato'. So I open the floor to any questions or comments from the floor. If you have anything in mind that you want to know more about this particular segment. Yes, if you have any ideas, comments, anything, we are open. So we don't want to be a one-way traffic kind of discussion. Any questions from? So if you look at the term religious, or whatever you coin it, whether religious tourism or Islamic tourism, but the most important thing is that when a Muslim travel, he or she needs to satisfy the faith-based needs. So that's the most important thing. Of course, if you're talking about the faith-based needs, so of course number one is accessibility to halal food. Food is very important, you know, when we travel. We need to have that. And of course the second is you look at the overall pricing also. Muslim, just like any other travelers, we look at pricing. If the hotel is cheap, good rating, is highly rated, we will go for that. And thirdly is the Muslim-friendly facilities, because this is very important for us. When we talk about Muslim-friendly facilities, it is something that, you know, for instance, for hotel, we will have the Qibla sign, the prayer time, you know. So these are all Muslim-friendly facilities which can facilitate the travel of a Muslim. So, and again, we are blessed. For instance, like Malaysia, I'd like to touch what Dato' have said just now. In Malaysia, basically, as you know that we are a Muslim majority country, Dato'. So what facilities that we have in place now is actually, it is for the Muslims in the country. For instance, like you have prayer facilities along the highway. You have prayer facilities at petrol stations, at government office, and at shopping malls. These are all for locals, Muslims. But when a Muslim from another country, especially those from the majority non-Muslim countries, come to Malaysia, the facilities are all there. So it is just like, you know, just using whatever facilities that is already available in the country. So indirectly we are blessed because we have all the facilities available. Alright, so any questions?
Or by the roadside, or they call it R&R, or rest area, they call it in this case. Or information, they call it, every border they have this information. I remember once, you know, a group of us, I think about 10 or 12 of us, we stopped at the petrol station there in the States. So it was freezing cold, but we managed to, you know, when we line up and everything, and we started praying, the owner of the petrol pump came out. They start asking us, when you will be praying, hey, what the, you know, what the rest, what the, you know, what the hell are you doing, you know, in my area? So you are praying, we cannot be answering to him. So one of us stopped praying and start now, no problem for you. Even to the States, you know, they get used to it. And by having that, and sometimes when we travel, because tourism Malaysia, we travel a lot. Sometimes I pity because in Malaysia, I'm not commenting lah, not complaining. But sometimes we take it for granted that we are Muslim place. Therefore, as you know, one small corner like that is enough for us to pray. You know, for example, shopping mall. Sometimes during Maghrib, you got like hundreds of people wanted to pray, and you have to take your cues. You know, and then I think we need to have it a proper place lah, not at the basement or somewhere. At the state is okay. But we need to have in Malaysia, because Thailand, their airport, their surau, you can do a Maghrib prayer, I think about 150 people at one go. Even if you go now, so all these things, I think they are start to understand, because the market is big, you know. And these are the things that we need to take a look at. Malaysia, especially, we cannot take it for granted that we are a Muslim country. Last year, we presented, there was, I think, on the Muslim travel as well, in Dubai, during Asia market coming from Middle East. To them, Malaysia is halal. They will go to other places, as long as the food they will say is halal. So for example, in our brochures, for example, we promote Ipoh as a food heaven. It can be halal and non-halal in our brochures. But when it's non-halal, we have, these are the things that we need to take a look at. And from our observation, China market, you can check with China Pavilion. Anybody from China here? No, huh? Ah, okay. But to those Muslim from China, they are not okay. Correct me if I'm wrong. Because they told us we need it pure. They will ask the chef to recite Al-Fatiha in order for them to put the restaurant into their catalog as a package. To that extent.
Friendly facilities, that should be made available for those visitors. Again, you need to also understand that there are three types or categories of Muslim travelers. So they want to see the certificate, they want to even see the chef, whether they can recite Al-Fatiha or not. These are those categories who are practicing Islam to strictly practicing Islam. And second is to cater for the needs of this group of Muslims when you are able to open your destination for this group of people. So, any question? Yes, ma'am.
Muslim friendly to us, but how about our effort in making us friendly to the non-Muslims in order for them to provide the Muslim friendly environment to us, especially the non-Muslim or the like Japan or China or even...
Okay, I think I need to answer that. I think you are talking about those, how we provide training and like capacity building for these countries, right? So at this moment, research and networking. So these are the four main cores of Islamic Tourism Center. And at this moment, we do have training. Okay, let's accommodation providers in Malaysia. That is one that has been completed. And second research that is being conducted is on the mosque profiling in Malaysia, because we are making mosque as a mosque was listed in that list. So you can see that there is this demand to visit mosque, and we are trying to get mosque ready for this to receive visitors. A mosque has a potential to be developed into a tourism product. So we had that in 2016 in Putrajaya and 2017 in Kuala Terengganu countries, because we are trying to assist OIC member countries. If you look at the Crescent Rating Report 2016, you can see 4 categories of Muslim friendly rating, the 3 categories. So in terms of capacity building and trying to share our best practices and experience, we are focusing now. They have zero knowledge about Muslim friendly. You can see that they are not ready. Like for us, we have Qibla sign is a common thing in our hotel. 99 is kind of facilities ready, and also even the food. When we say, okay, is this halal? Yes, this is halal. Chicken is halal, but next to the chicken is bacon. So we are giving training again this year in Turkey, and also in last year we went to Gambia and Mozambique to assist them. But when it comes to non-Muslim, you can see they are far better ready than most of the OIC member countries listed as what I mentioned just now, especially from Africa. So I think the commitment of the government is very important. Kind of this particular market segment. I hope I've answered. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I can add on that. Since you are doing study on Japanese market, okay, the market when to the non-Muslim earlier, when you talk about halal, basically they will talk about pork free, or you slaughtered the animal. That's it. You did prepare it properly. It is not also considered, in a way, is doubtful halal. So it's not only slaughter. So we have to tell them. So for example, when I sat down, and then when I went to Japan or Taiwan, during the dinner, sometimes they would see that you're not eating. No, because I can't. No, this is not pork. It's chicken. It is the fact they are not a Muslim country. They are very good in halalan toiban. If you look at their market, my God, 100 times better. Japan is the example of the halal destination. So this is okay. That's another thing. And now in terms of traveling, see, you know what, the Japanese, they start moving very much last time. The Japanese traveling out of the country a lot more than people coming into their countries. Now they're opening up. How they open up their country? they removed the Malaysian to Japan, increased, making us number 2 in terms of ASEAN countries after Thailand. Previously, Malaysia is only number 5th. Japan National Tourism Office here in Kuala Lumpur, despite the fact they have it there in Singapore. Because this market is important. One thing, Malaysia is tourist generating country. We are the tourists moving to every part of the world. We get even Malaysian going to Antarctica lah. So all this, if you look into the tourism satellite, you will see this. Maybe can help you study lah. So the only thing is that you know, they have to adapt. But we have a Malaysian there, Taiwan doing that, and even China doing that as well.
Okay. Any further questions?
Yeah,
Yes.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
I'm Malina Wong. I'm from the Barakah and Ethical Consumer Union, registered under ROS of Malaysia. Besides sharing the lifestyle, I think it's a good opportunity for us to also share the of halal in terms of food, in terms of living, and I think the tourism department supposedly do true lifestyle. So the whole world talking about halal is very much into dollars and cents. Full, peaceful, harmonious and wholesome with Iman, Quran and Sunnah. I think we is clean, it is hygienic, and it is the dealing between human and human is supposed to be halal. The muamalah, the Islam world, that we have to destroy many things to chase after the digital pursuit. Human and environment, human and the animal kingdom, the way how the slaughtering should be is a very noble act of worship, because it's just a soul that returns back to Allah, and it's the process that we accompanying this soul return to Allah. Day of Jummah, can we raise this awareness through your good department? Thank you. Assalamualaikum.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Islamic or Muslim-friendly tourism. We always say that Muslim-friendly tourism is not exclusive. It is all-inclusive. It is not only for and pure, right? So that's why in our engagement we never say that, oh, this is specifically and exclusively for Muslims. Muslim-friendly travel is not specifically mean Muslim alone. It is all-inclusive. Okay, that is number one. And when you talk about health, of course there's another issue. You know, in the government, or us in ITC, if you listen just now earlier, I said that our core business is only confined to research, training, and capacity. In our engagement, we are talking about the halal in the healthcare industry, and in fact, just to share with you, in the recent meeting among the organization, among the member countries of OIC last month, we are looking into healthcare, halal healthcare for Muslim among the OIC member countries. And again, prayer facilities and all that kind of facilities available for Muslims. So I think basically that is I mean the initial response that can I post.
Halal thing is KBJ Group, Kumpulan Pemudalan Johor. Because you initiated, they have a Wakaf hospital, they have a Wakaf clinic and everything, and very much on that. I think they have and I would say very much on travel tourism. Basically, there are other bodies that looking into, for example, in the Mawrah or whatever things that Jaki, and then on finance we like to do crazy things, meaning look into what other things that we can do in terms of everything. So I think last 5 years, you know, the Musabaqah Al-Quran, international, following the Qari or Qariah. And we realized that, hey, there's a potential in terms of tourism. Not talking about making money lah, but actually to bring the traveling can be most of them is a Muslim. Maybe they're from, I said for example, the previous Qari or Qaria of Thailand will bring with her or him like 300 his congregation coming for Musabaqah Al-Quran in PWTC every year. And they only see Musabaqah Al-Quran is free for everybody. So what tourism did, we approached Jakim. And so they said, no, this is also tourism. You see, because the followers of Bangkok, Qari and Qaria coming from Musabaqah Al-Quran, they are bringing with them 300. Jakim, he said, okay, we need to develop this as the international tourism attraction in terms of Musabaqah Al-Quran. And Jakim a little bit skeptical. Singapore, we talked to the masjid there, but they said, easily, sir, we can bring 900 people to PWTC from our mosque. Coming for Musabaqah Al-Quran, dia akan start malam kan, during after Maghrib. So daytime can be a shopping time for them. Who can tell you the architecture, blah 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 about that mosque. So it relates to that. And then we add on, the added value is that they say, arrange for us added value after or before Musabaqah. I would like to see Datuk Dr. Baya Mahmud. Dr. Baya, because she was a session with Dr. Baya. They said, can I see Sharifah Kasim, the Ustazah to yang Taranum, the Taranum lady. So she started, a session like this, or even Imam Muda Hasan as part of the package, added value to their Musabaqah. And then they said, can I see Adik Muhammad, the one, the Hafazan, yang pada Selangor tu, that very good, a young guy, young boy at 15 years old. And then there's a sharing session with these people buying the package, coming into Malaysia to see Musabaqah with this added value. And this is what we've been doing. And for 5 years running, now we don't have to ask Jakim anymore. Jakim, thank you very much. Now, to provide all these, their so-called supporters to be in front. We reserve the seats for them because it's free sitting. Fasting month, Ramadan. We hosted all the imam from Middle East, those Hafiz that attached to some all these mosques. You know why? Because the top 5 countries with the biggest per capita expenditure, meaning they spend a lot here, per person, about 12,000 ringgit. One is Iranian. They're coming in here. So in terms of tourism, we can relate this halal or religious tourism into travel as well, and it becomes a
strong mosque volunteers. They promote mosque tourism. So we at ITC, I think this is as a response to your question, a program, a session with all the imams from all over the country, the imams and also the committee members, to give them training, because what we gather from as a tourism product, and from the 2 conferences that we had with them, they request for more training, especially on the PR skill. So based on their feedback that we got from them, and we will be hosting next month, early May, inshallah, before Ramadan, we will be hosting around 100, nearly to 1 money, but on the spiritual part. Because when we open the mosque for tourists, they are able to understand the religion better, and you can correct all the misperception that is something alien to the other practices that is being practiced. So mosque tourism is something that I can see can position not only in terms of positioning.
Batu Cave. Batu Cave, one of the most frequented place by tourists. Not only we understand each other, we become tolerant to each other. And for example, when we studying abroad last time, and we were studying in the state last time, it's not to convert us, no, to understand. And the best part, sometimes they got imams standing in front in a church talking about other religion to those congregations. So these are the things, despite whatever religion.
Yes, thank you, Dato', for the additional points. So I think, is there any final question before I close the session for this evening? Because I can see that the organizer is here. Yes, sir. Can somebody pass the mic to the gentleman, please? Thank you.
Belum masa mic nak siapa nak tanya. Abang Biu ni from where?
Okay. Dato', cooperative members. The leader for the group is Haji Romzi. He's seated behind Haji Romzi.
Haji Romzi,
that's Haji Romzi. So actually we had a tourism in general and also specifically on Muslim-friendly tourism. So they are from Cocos Island. So yes, sorry, sir.
It's fine. What makes Malaysia a popular Islamic destination for Islamic tourism? Have any initiative to promote Islamic tourism to attract Muslim tourists from non-Muslim countries like India, Japan, also China or South Korea? They are building more Muslim-friendly facilities to attract Muslim tourists. So besides
but with the okay, I mentioned that it should be a government-led initiative, one. And based on the okay, so how do we promote to the non-Muslim? Okay, I'll respond to that first.
Attract Muslim tourists from non-Muslim countries.
Correct. Invited to Australia, to New Zealand, to Japan, to Korea, to Taiwan, to talk about this Muslim-friendly travel. So one question posed to our Director General. The question was, after giving all this awareness, why should I embrace this? But again, we tell them that to receive this group of people or to receive this group of Muslim travelers. So this is something not we don't impose countries to follow. It is up to you. It's just our this awareness program among the APEC member countries, APEC, Asia Pacific Economic Cooperation countries. Last year, there was a meeting in Vietnam. We presented less. Again, it is up to the country. If you think you want it, by all means, embrace it. But if you don't want, there's no problem. There's no hard and fast rule about it. Okay, halal food, halal fast food, for instance, McDonald's, KFC, all these big names. You can get it halal in Malaysia, and the facilities are all there. So it's just a matter of experiencing it. You know, there's nothing special about that, because it is already there available for us Muslims to understand what are the things that they like. For instance, new shopping malls, perhaps. It's targeted for perhaps group from the Middle East. Perhaps they like to come and shop. So of visits also is a very important thing. We just like Dato' mentioned, when Japan did some adjustment to the visa requirement, you know, and allowing Malaysia to enter, there's a big jump from 5th place to the 2nd place. A 58% Malaysian coming to Japan. Other non-Muslim to experience these facilities and services that is being provided. So I hope I've responded to that question. I think all the 4 questions
of the Muslim market combined. Muslim market, like I said, 169 billion in terms of you know, if you look at the numbers. And then in the late 80s, I was working in Singapore. I went to Kentucky Fried Chicken in Singapore. Due respect to Singaporean, I mean, now it's not okay. And then basically in the 80s, the Kentucky Fried Chicken in Singapore is not halal. And we didn't know. We thought in Singapore just next door, for example, to Canberra. There was an apartment in Canberra, a small city. Next to it, there's a McDonald's. I went in, we were hungry. Oh, to me then after that, McDonald's became my second home. You know, because you know everybody, you know, it is not like that previously. Really? And these are the things that why must you restrict? These are the things that we are looking at. This is where, for example, our case. The Middle Eastern market, you know, there's a lot of restriction traveling into that side. And us, Malaysia, coming into the picture because we say, hey, you can't travel there, why do you come to Malaysia? They thought that halal in Malaysia, correct me if I'm wrong, actually it is not meant like Japan or Korea where they really make the halal. That's why the word market for halal is halal, but for non-Muslim, especially pork, is somewhere else. It's not even close by. And this is why to really look into our side, you don't take it for granted that we halal, because in terms of Malaysia, Singapore, of course, they are already into that market as well. But they are moving to that part of the world. For example, one of the biggest traffic now is to Philippines from Middle East because of the market and because they are already open.
Yes, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. I am Mr. Timothy Ijiran and I am from Philippines. When we talk about Islamic tourism in Kuala Lumpur, Muslim is just a minority there in our country. But how can we raise the level of understanding when we are talking about Islamic tourism but Islamic terrorism? So how can we change that mindset? How can we change that behavior attitude of the stakeholders there in engaging the youth here in Malaysia to participate in this kind of advocacy? This is actually one way to ensure as if this is really for the senior citizens. We cannot get the attention or we cannot encourage the youth, specifically here in Malaysia, to perhaps to engage, to involve them in this advocacy and to ensure that someone has to continue.
To that first question, if you are looking at the challenge that you mentioned, I think of course what we need to have in place is the awareness. That's why awareness we can correct all this misperception that they might have towards the religion Islam and also the Muslim-friendly travel segment. So what we need is normally we traveler, how do you manage Muslim traveler? So these are awareness that I think it should be a continuous point that you should continue in giving awareness to this. TC was first established and we were approached by countries like especially from the non-Muslim majority countries. So we always tell them awareness is very important, and we are talking the requirements, facilities, because what they think that is being practiced in that they have practiced all this while is the right practice. So we need to have this awareness, this Islam, this terrorism and so on. That's why normally in our slides we have quite a lengthy slides in our presentation. Towards the end we always address this issue because that's the challenge. Portray as a good Muslim, practicing good values. That is the only way that we can correct all this misperception towards the religion.
Maybe I can add a bit. Sir, in Malaysia travel fair. In the travel fair, perhaps you can talk to the organizer. They have a session like this for a halal travel. Then you can start to educate all these people. Because the travel industries, the one who organizing it, to have a session, a conference. Because within the fair, there are always a conference. So we can get a conference whereby they came to tourism board. They said, sir, we are performing umrah from the island. But can we have umrah and ziarah? Ziarah is visiting. So but we are not the one who's doing it. It must be the tour operator in Philippines doing it. And we even spoke to the tabung haji. Tabung ziarah here. If 3 nights staying or 2 nights, it's gonna be in terms of income to the country. So these are the things that maybe you can take a look. But like my suggestion is that if they cater for the Muslim millennial, the data that they're putting here, 2000 about 25 million. If you look at 2020, 158 million millennials. Our topic when we talk about religious tourism, it is not very much on the faith, going to Mecca, going to Rome, but religious tourism now being expanded. For example, the young one now, they are contributing their time, they travel to Palestine in order to assist people. They travel to Syria, score kind of thing, assisting everything, set up a school, things like that. I think the young ones, they are the one, I think, taking over from us, Maybe I can answer.
In 2013, if I'm not mistaken, the millennials, of course, they are well educated. One, they have high disposable income. They are, and the important thing when they travel, they seek for Muslim-friendly facilities and services. That's very important. They are conscious about what they do, what they eat, what they consume. So they want these Muslim-friendly facilities available.
Let me share with you the figures on the travel expenditure by the Muslim millennial travel by 20 from OIC countries. Those millennial travel, number 1 is Saudi Arabia. Number 2, you'll be surprised, Malaysia. Number 3, outbound market from OIC, non-OIC countries. Number 1, Germany. Number 2, Russian Federation. 3, India. United Kingdom and China. You see? There are 5 Turkish in Germany. We take it for granted. We thought only the Muslim millennial from non-IC countries that maybe we can capture. And again, they are young, they travel, individual.
So okay, I think. Okay. So one final question, madam. Yes, please.
Yeah, sorry. I think maybe just a little product, because China is so rich with Islamic heritage of back in 1,300 over years ago. You know where?
You mean tourism product?
In China.
Islamic tourism product.
Yeah, because I think the GDP of outbound tourism from China compare their inbounds between China, Malaysia, the Muslim world, and the Muslim visiting China is such a far gap. Yeah. We can help you to balance your GDP, tourism GDP. And Malaysia, for Philippine brother, we are a nation that we have lived together in diversity and unity. So I think it is a good model. We are a moderate Muslim country for others to follow.
Yes. In terms of tourism, they have. The thing is that in Malaysia, sometimes we thought, we thought that we are Muslim earlier than the China market. For example, Datuk Mustafa Ma, the president of the Muslim Association in Malaysia, I think he's 80 plus years old. He told me, Muslim, meaning his great-great-great-great-grandfather is already a Muslim, but to us we thought he's a convert. He converted to Muslim. That I was in Beijing, I mean, it's all very old kitab, and the guy inside there very old, and to me it is, it's my experience. So these are the things that in terms of we can assist actually China. I think China having their own, but we are assisting that by working with CNTA actually, Tourism Board, with the China National Tourism Administration. We are working, collaborating.
That we had this evening, even though it is only myself and Dato' Musa on the floor. So actually we can discuss many more issues under this. Well, again, for let's say when we shared our experience with the Cocos Island 2 days ago, yesterday, we told them that if you want to, we shared our experience.
Xi'an, where the terracotta and everything, there's a big Muslim market there. We have a travel fair there that we are promoting Malaysia, and we combine homestay, licensed homestay operated by the ministry, not the homestay. They have extra house, they call it homestay. That's not a homestay. Homestay must licensed by the ministry. It's not an accommodation type. It is very much experience. The food, the language, the dressing, the culture, everything. There are at least 8 or 9, 10 here. Tahirah group, I think maybe they are inside. They are the Halal plane that bring all this cargo. You cannot have, the cargo thing, you cannot mix. So
thank you again to Dato' Musa, and thank you to all of you for participating in this evening session, and also to Mihas, thank you.